Hi, this is BZ Rieger, and I was going to do a rambling by the river. This is the Stilly River, the North Fork behind me. It's flowing pretty fast today. All the mountains over that way had a lot of snow in them, so you have some snow melt by the rivers and stuff run off, streams, brooks. And then we've had a lot of rain as well, so it's kind of flowing. I wanted to talk about using them sky and clouds as metaphor. About seemingly like we don't see anything. So, if you like the sun and you don't like gray, you think, well, there is no blue sky. Well, there's no blue sky today. Well, it's always there. So that's a good metaphor for things going on. There's lots of things going on, expansion on all levels and all layers and all venues and all areas of everything is happening very, very fast. Have you ever seen time-lapse photography of a blue sky with organic white puffy clouds? And they seem to come out of nothing. It's just a blue sky, and all of a sudden one will pop up, and then more will pop up, and they'll change different shapes, and they'll kind of stream by, and they change. And so if you were to look at and be able to see, and we can see by looking at different reports, we can see by our own visual and energetic and sensory and emotional acuity. We can see by looking at different research and work that truthers are doing. We can see by signals in the theater that is going on. So there's lots of ways when I say we can see these things happening. But if we acknowledge that, if we allowed ourselves to put all those puzzle pieces together, it would look very much like I just described with the time-lapse photography of the white clouds going past the blue sky. And there's lots of them, they're moving quickly, and lots of things are unfolding, cropping up. Seemingly there isn't anything there, and all of a sudden it seems to crop up, and it seems to populate and gather other information, other dots, other pieces of theater, because I'll remind everybody again, what you're watching is all theater for what is unfolding. That's one of the ways that we all collectively have decided was an excellent way to have all of this be unwound and unbound, for all of this to come into the physical, more three-dimensional sight and knowing and awareness, even though none of us are missing anything, and we are all tuned in. Our cognitive awareness from a linear level varies in each being, but it's the case nonetheless. So there's lots of things flowing by, and when I'm looking right here at beautiful, it's gray behind me, and beautiful blue, natural blue clouds, and making different patterns. And when I look at them, not only it's kind of a meditation for me with Gaia and the clouds and the sky, but information and data reveals to me that way from what's happening on the energetic realms and unfolding. And just in that way I can see the same, I can use other things kind of as a visual meditation for not looking with focused eyes per se, but a soft view of the different clouds, dots of information, and watch the pictures that appear. Watch how the data coalesces. A cloud not there and then appearing, and other clouds, to use that as a metaphor, and how that data coalesces, and you can see new pieces coming together. And as you interact with other beings, as you watch things, you can get little insights, little tips in how they notice different things. And you may think, oh, well, that's interesting, and I could add that to something that I already do and put them together. And again, that's another example of how we're all in this together, navigating this together to what's going on. So one example that comes to mind, today it's the 19th of December 2018, with big energies already here and in the works, with solstice fast approaching. And that's a whole nother conversation. But and the Flynn sentencing hearing purportedly, and the non-sentencing hearing, because he didn't get sentenced yet, and no time is recommended, and so it's so interesting to watch the different questions and conversations. And I thought, I saw a headline, I think it was Sarah Carter's, the non-Flynn sentencing hearing is so much more about everything than the Flynn case. And I thought, I know another case where that exactly could be the same, the HATJ and RKB case. So they're all connected together, and it's interesting, more and more people are sending me things going, hey, did you hear about the Federal Reserve and how money works, and do you know about this, and it's interesting about this, these dots, and it seems like all this stuff that Heather's been talking about and it's you've been talking about is real, or it is all connected, or all of a sudden these people are finding this out. Well, lots of people have known about this for a long time. Many have known different parts of it for a long time. So it goes to what I'm talking about, is that we're not operating in isolation, and it isn't just a swamp or a political theater just in the United States, or just for the Democrats, or just for the Republicans. Everything is connected. And the integral pieces of that connection are us as human beings and eternal beings, kick-ass creator beings. And bringing a close to all of this that's been going on, and this I speak of is, an eons long unfoldment, an eons long false matrix. That's the way I like to categorize it. An eons long game, lots of people, an eons long curse, an eons long rule of treachery. So there's lots of ways that you could characterize it. And I think it's fair to say that each of those ways is a different, focus aperture, with expanding viewpoints on that from the totality of the information and the consciousness level that is used to pixelate that picture that you're putting out there. So the blue sky and clouds is a great metaphor, because the blue sky is always there. It doesn't disappear. It isn't thwarted. It isn't obliterated. It isn't gone away. It has different things. They may come up as distortions, and so if one feels moved to play with the ideas of distortions on your own blue sky, so the truth of who you are, and what distortions, what clouds do you have covering that from your own perspective, from your own linear eyes perspective, as you look at yourself in the mirror, or look at yourself, as you watch yourself interact with other beings. From an internal perspective, what are the distortions that you have? And then as you connect and walk in the world with others, or engage with other information or other beings, how how can you start to notice? And you will, if you look for them, you will find them very, very quickly. How do you notice the different distortions coming up? Like a cloud pops up, and have you ever played with moving clouds in the sky and dematerializing or reshaping them? You create your universe. So that's a fun way. You don't need to be invested. There's no kind of attachment one way or the other. You're just playing with the clouds. But you can see that you can create and play with those aspects. So that's just an aside. But so play with that. Play with the distortions that you notice. Play with seeing, think of everything and the truth as the blue sky that's always there. And if you're not seeing things happening, that's your perception. If your perception is that, you seem to be locked in the same old under the thumb of, or stop from doing things you want, or those kinds of things, look at those as clouds on a blue sky. And how can you shift or move those clouds? With your distortions, how can you shift or move those to dematerialize them, or get a new current of air, a new front to come in, something in the wind to come in and move those distortions so that you can see. And then you could look at it as energetically begin to link and play with the patches of blue sky that you're starting to then unveil for yourself. And when you notice the distortions for what they are, you're more easily able to move them out of the way, to dematerialize them, and also to appreciate the distortions. Because especially right now, there are distortions coming up for everybody all over the place, and it's sometimes really hard to do, but when those distortions come up, that's a great time to celebrate and say, wow, a distortion. So I can look at that and feel into that and play with that. And what is that's highlighting for me where I have a pocket or an eddy or a current or a stream of current in the air that's causing this cloud, this distortion. To highlight for me so that I can integrate it, because what's highlighting is showing me that sliver or that pocket, that stream, is not of love, is not of higher consciousness, is not of an expanded state. And so rather than freaking out or getting annoyed or getting frustrated or getting down or any other ways you might describe them, annoyed with yourself, notice that for isn't and be thankful for it, and then work with that and notice it as a distortion, integrate it, and let it go, and clear your sky. And as you think about it, there is nothing more lovely than a blue sky with some clouds in it. The light plays in the clouds, the sun will sparkle off the clouds or reflect water if you're by a body of water up into the clouds, and it creates a really beautiful, pleasing thing to experience. So it's not like you want to erase everything, but realize that you are in control of how you're creating things, and that there can be different adventures that, in this metaphor, bring up some interesting cloud formations that mix with the light and mix with what you're doing, and give you reflections and refractions and shifting streams of color, so that it makes that moment of being more rich, more colorful, more interesting. So, have fun, notice the blue sky and the distortion, and use your muscles, your knowings, and your inner brilliance to navigate through all the theater out there and all the stuff happening within and without. And it's one spectacular deliciousness of a ride. Enjoy it. I love you.